With a career spanning over 6 decades, Lee Friedlander has established himself as one of the most influential photographers of the 20th and early 21st centuries, creating a lasting impact on the world of contemporary art. His work is characterized by a keen eye and an ability to capture the essence of urban and suburban life in the United States, offering a unique and often humorous perspective of contemporary society through his lens. Friedlander is known for his distinctive style, which often includes the overlay of elements and carefully crafted composition. His images may be chaotic juxtapositions of shapes and figures, but they always maintain a surprising coherence. Throughout his career, he has explored a variety of subjects, from television screens to urban landscapes, always finding originality in the ordinary and the everyday. Undoubtedly, Lee Friedlander is a master of photography who has challenged aesthetic conventions through his thematic diversity, bearing witness to his sharp artistic sensitivity. Join us as we explore the life and legacy of this influential artist, tracing his journey from humble beginnings to becoming one of the most famous photographers of our time. Lee Norman Friedlander was born in 1934 in the small fishing and logging community of Aberdeen, Washington. His father, Fritz Friedlander, was a Polish-Jewish immigrant who had arrived in America just before the outbreak of World War I. Sadly, Friedlander's mother, Kari Nurmi, also an immigrant of Finnish descent, died of cancer when her son was just 7 years old. Following her death, his father, feeling overwhelmed by the responsibility of being a single parent, sent Lee to a rural area of Washington, where he was raised by a farming family. However, father and son were not estranged and spent time together during their free moments and holidays. In fact, it was Fritz who helped foster his son's interest in photography, and at the young age of just 14, Lee was earning extra money as a photographer. In 1950, he obtained his driver's license, which allowed him the freedom to explore music clubs in the state of Washington, solidifying his other passion for jazz, blues, and R&B music. In 1952, Friedlander moved to Los Angeles and briefly attended the Art Center College of Design, where he met Professor Edward Kaminsky, who became his mentor. He rented a room in Kaminsky's house and met photographers like Win Bullock and Imogen Cunningham at Kaminsky's parties. Following Kaminsky's advice, he moved to New York, where he photographed jazz musicians for Atlantic Records and worked as a freelancer for magazines like Sports Illustrated. He married Maria de Paoli, who was his muse and helped him establish his own publishing house, Haywire Press, and promote his book, Self-Portrait, in 1970. In fact, without de Paoli's initiative and commitment, that book might have been forgotten, as she took it upon herself to visit all the existing bookstores in New York City with the aim of convincing booksellers to carry it. In the 1970s, Friedlander, often accompanied by his family, embarked on road trips inspired by the Farm Security Administration collection at the Library of Congress. Motivated by the geographical organization of the collection, he began his own socio-geographic projects, focusing on American urban landscapes and public monuments. He photographed urban landscapes in places like Route 9W outside New York, Albuquerque, and New Orleans, offering a glimpse of urban America. In 1976, he published The American Monument, through which he offered a complex view of the United States through its monuments to public figures, whether heroic, obscure, or even extravagant. In the 1980s, he accepted commissions, including Factory Valleys, Ohio, Pennsylvania in 1982, funded by the Akron Art Institute, where he portrayed factory workers. He also captured nudes, including a session with Madonna in 1979, which later appeared in Playboy in 1985, and a print from this series was sold at auction in 2009 for $37,500. In the early 1990s, Friedlander completed two significant projects, Nudes in 1991 and Letters from the People in 1993. He began experimenting with a Hasselblad superwide camera, which offered images with greater depth and detail than his usual 35mm Leica. Despite being less mobile, he explored the pros and cons of each format and continued working with both formats, and recently, he has been experimenting with an iPhone camera. In 2004, he published Sticks and Stones, Architectural America, exploring American architecture without human presence. He also updated his self-portrait collection, In the Picture, Self-Portraits, spanning from 1958 to 2011. In 2010, he launched America by Car, traveling to all 50 states and capturing social landscapes from behind the wheel. This project was acclaimed as a revealing portrait of America's diversity, solidifying Friedlander's reputation as one of the great American photographers. Starting in 2017, the artist and Yale University Press released an ambitious suite of 6 books titled The Human Clay, a collection of selected environmental sweeps and portraits edited by Friedlander from his extensive archive, many of which were previously unpublished. Lee Friedlander is now 89 years old and continues to take photos every day. Since the debut of his work at the 1967 New Documents exhibition, Lee Friedlander has stood out as a leader for the next generation of documentary photographers, following in the footsteps of Robert Frank. Throughout his career, spanning 6 decades now, Friedlander has published no less than 50 photographic collections despite his preference for staying out of the limelight. His work has been included in the permanent collections of major museums worldwide. Aesthetically, Friedlander's snapshot photography challenged conventional composition norms, boldly using elements like shadows and overlapping reflections. By focusing on everyday subjects, he questioned preconceived notions of what constitutes good photography. It's reasonable to say that, along with his contemporaries Diane Arbus and Gary Winograd, Friedlander helped liberate the next generation of photographers from traditional constraints, fostering the idea of the photographer as an interpreter, even through his discreet presence. Historian Graham Clark suggested that Friedlander's images have left a significant mark on the history of photography. Through his exploration of both evident and implied meanings, his photographs have provided viewers with a new critical vocabulary for understanding the development of modern photography. Lee Friedlander's legacy prompts us to reflect on how his work can alter our perception and understanding of photographs. He teaches us that photography isn't just about capturing images, but also about deepening our understanding of the world and how we see it, encouraging us to reflect on our own perspective.